Today in this video, I hope that whoever's watching this video can relate to what I'm going to talk about when it comes to acknowledging your pain. I don't know if you guys are like me. Throughout times of your life, you felt this pull or this tug on your chest and your heart to where you know it's not a physical oriented pain, but yeah, whatever you're going through on the inside, you can literally feel it to the point where it has become physical, but it's more emotional oriented or more emotional stemmed. Because if it was physical, most of you, like me, we would have already been to the doctor to have it checked out. So you know by now, far by now, that is nothing physical. But this is something on the inside of you that has manifested itself in such a way that you can literally feel it physically. But yeah, you don't know how to explain it, or whether we're talking about heartbreaks or anything like that, whether you're going through something mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, you're feeling it in such a way on the inside of you that now it's coming to you physically and you don't know how to deal with it. I felt this pain a lot throughout the course of my life, and currently I still have seasons and times where I go through it. There's times where the pain can become so unbearable that it can almost feel like as if, whether you want to call it your spirit, your heart, or your soul, it's almost like it's crying out for help because you're in such a state of pain, in such a state of shock, disappointment, heartbreak, confusion, loneliness, depression, whatever it is. It's crying out on the inside of you so loud that you don't know exactly how to deal with it. You don't know how to calm that. You don't know how to deal with it. And it's to the point where if the right situation or the right circumstance were to come up, you could literally feel yourself about to erupt or explode because the pressure that you're feeling on the inside of you is so great. It's almost like you can imagine a wall behind your heart. Whatever you're going through in your life, all that pain and all that weight has built up on the inside of that wall. That throughout the rest of your life, currently, you have done your best to maintain the pain that you've been through, but it's almost as if that pain is building up against that wall. And the more pain that you go through, it's like the more that is building up against that wall. And so whatever outside pain that you're dealing with now, it's like pressure coming on both sides. So anything can knock you over the edge. That's the kind of pain that I'm talking about in this video. And if you've been through that pain, I know exactly what you're going through. Like I said, I found myself at that stage in my life multiple times over the course of my life. I'm only 22, but I've been through it as a kid, as a teenager, and I'm still going through it as a young adult. And I'm sure I'll go through it throughout the rest of my life. Those time periods, those seasons, it's completely normal. We all go through times of adversity, hardship, challenges, frustrating times, depressing times, where whether it's from losing people in our life that we hold most dear, or it's going through heartbreaks with spouses or partners, or bad business relationships, or bad friendships, or people that we thought would be there for us until the end. Suddenly out of nowhere, they betrayed us, or they done something that we would never think they would do. You know, whatever the case is, the point is we have all had those situations come up in our life. But it's gotten to a point to where, because we have not learned how to properly deal with that pain has sat down and seeped down on the inside of us, to where now it's almost like your spirit is crying for help, your soul, your heart is crying for help because it's gone through so much pain and it has not learned how to yet release it. So it's crying out to you for help. It's almost like this groaning on the inside of you that you don't know how to calm. It's almost like this screaming, this crying that your heart is going through. Your heart is aching, your heart is breaking, and you don't know how to deal with it because you don't even know how to explain it. You don't know who you can go to. You don't know who's gonna understand you, because if you try to explain it, you can barely explain it yourself. You can barely understand it yourself. So you don't really expect anybody else to. So you just kind of suppress it and keep it to yourself and keep it hidden and keep it in the closet, keep it in the dark. But the problem with that is the more and longer that you do that, then the greater the risk is that you'll explode and you'll erupt because you have not learned how to properly deal with it. You not learned how to release that. It's important that you do so. So what I've learned is while I'm going through these hard times, is you've got to learn how to face them head on. You got to acknowledge what you're going through on the inside of you. So if you're going through a heartbreak, you've got to learn how to sit by yourself sometimes, or sit down with somebody and just let out exactly what you're feeling or what you're going through. Because like I said, the longer that you try to keep it and hold it in, the worse it's gonna get. And most times we can hold it in, we might not think about it for 2 or 3 weeks, and then like I said, the right situation can come up and boom, that pain is right back. And most times when it creeps right back, it's stronger than it was before, because you haven't learned how to properly deal with it. It was just hiding. It was just waiting for the right opportunity to present itself again. And you never know when that moment will come up to where you won't be able to control it. So it's important that we get a handle on that. An experience that I've dealt with is, like I said, I'm gonna use me for an example. And I have no problem being honest and vulnerable with you guys, because I know if I've dealt with it and if I'm dealing with it currently, then who's to say that somebody down the road or somebody right now isn't dealing with it right now, or they're not gonna deal with it at some point. And if they come across this video on this platform, they can use my experience in this video and this platform to help them get through it. So that's my purpose for even having this platform in the first place. If I can't be vulnerable, if I can't be honest and transparent, then there's no reason for me to even be on here. So I have no problem with doing that. And as I'm exposing, as I'm making myself vulnerable, I'm working through these changes as I'm helping you. So there's nothing that I'm saying on this platform that I haven't already dealt with myself, or that I'm not working through myself. That's gonna help you in the long run, as I'm helping myself as well. So using me as an example, let's say I'm dating a girl, right? And I end up getting heartbroken. And instead of taking the time to acknowledge the fact that I'm hurt, instead of taking the time to focus on myself, instead of taking the time to see where it went wrong, instead of taking the time to see where I could have been better, instead of taking the time to see if I really should have taken that step with her in the first place, instead of doing all of these things, I instead ignore the pain altogether. I go out and meet 5 different women. I go out and have 5 different experiences with them, whether that's sexual or non-sexual, and engage in things with them, whether they be sexual or non-sexual. Again, that's not solving my problem, because I didn't take the necessary time to heal, to learn from that experience. Every experience that you go through in life, you're gonna be able to learn from it, whether it's good or bad. But the key is, whether you're dealing with a painful experience, when it comes to dealing with painful experiences, you've got to know that after each experience that you have where it's painful, you got to know that you have to take time to heal from it. Because if you just keep going and going and going and not really dealing with it and not really acknowledging it and not really taking the time to really work through that pain, then the pain is still there. It hasn't gone anywhere. You're just hiding it. You're just suppressing it. And that's not a solution. Because over time, what's going to happen is the more pain that you go through, the more painful experiences that you go through, then that new pain is going to double down. It's going to go over the top. It's going to be added on to that old pain that you have yet to release. So that's just pain and pressure building up on the inside of you that you don't need. And in the long run, that's going to create health issues. That's going to create emotional instability and mental instability that you don't need, that you can have easily avoided if you had just taken the time, which I know is hard. But you could have just taken the time and just acknowledge the fact that you are hurting, and acknowledging that you're taking the time to get to know why you are hurting, so that you can figure out how the next time that when you're going through the next experience, you're not going into that experience with the pain that you got from the last experience. You're not bringing that with you. You're not bringing that baggage and that damage and that drama with you. You're not bringing any of that with you. So you're healed and you're whole. You shouldn't have to hold on to that. There are ways that you can deal with that. And that's something that I've been learning constantly recently. Whatever I'm going through, I don't have to hold on to that. There are ways that I can release it. It's not benefiting me. If I can use it to motivate me, then that's cool. But in the long run, at some point, I need to let it go, because I know at some point down the road, I'm going to go through something else that may be more taxing emotionally, that I might need that extra energy for to be able to take on that pain. But because I haven't released this one from the previous experience, I might not have the strength to overcome this new pain that I might be facing later on. So, like I said, with my example is, like I said, that's not solving the issues, because these 5 different girls that I've engaged in these things with, they didn't even get the chance to even meet the healed, the whole version of me. I went into each experience with them carrying the pain from the last experience. So that's me damaging them, and then me damaging myself 5 times over, because I have yet learned to release that pain. I know we live in this culture and society where it's a YOLO mentality. You only live once. If this one don't work out, go to the next one. That's not sustainable, because over time your heart is going to become numb, your heart is going to become cold, and your heart is just going to deceive you. Wherever the wind goes, wherever the society goes, that's where you're gonna go. You're gonna have no stability. You're gonna have no morals. You're gonna have no values. You're gonna have no standards. I'm not even talking about I'm talking about in life in general, not just with dating. I'm just using me for an example, but this is just life in general. So like I said, I'm gradually still in the process of learning that no matter what pain I've gone through, no matter what it has stemmed from, that it's best to acknowledge it, work through it, and then release it rather than avoid and suppress it. Sex, alcohol, drugs, and violence, it might help for a moment, it might feel good for a moment, it might take your mind off of that pain for a moment, but like I said, it's not sustainable. It's not gonna help you in the long run. It's not gonna get your mind off of it forever. That pain is gonna come back. It's gonna come back stronger. It's gonna come back worse. And what are you gonna go to? If you keep going to those same things, the problem is just gonna get worse. So the steps that I try to take in getting through these times include praying, talking to God, just acknowledging what I'm going through, just asking Him to give me the strength, just asking Him to give me the understanding and the wisdom to just work through it, giving me the patience to be patient with myself and my development and my healing process, and just continue to try my best to make the best decisions possible, and not always go off of what I'm feeling in the moment or what I feel like would feel good in that moment, and just realize what the bigger picture has in store for me and how each decision will affect my life down the road. And that's easier said than done. There are times where I don't follow that. Or at least recently, I haven't been following that most times. But now I'm getting back into the habit of, okay, we need to get back to what we know. We need to get back to what worked for us in the beginning, so that we won't keep making the same mistakes, so we won't keep going through the same pain, the same experiences. Because after a while, you gotta look at yourself in the mirror to see what are you doing wrong and what can you do better. If you're like me, I like writing. I like writing out what I'm going through, what I'm feeling. Like this message to you today that I'm bringing to you, I wrote out everything that I was feeling. And that just helps me sometimes. Talking to people, community is big. Just acknowledging what you're going through with other people, knowing that you're not alone and going through what you're going through, that is big, that is vital, because there's always somebody that is going through what you're going through, or even worse. So just be aware of that. You're never alone in what you're going through. There are always people there that are going through what you're going through, so never feel like you're alone. Just realize that if God allows you to go through this, then He already knew that you're strong enough to go through it and can overcome it. And then just taking on the issue and letting myself work through the pain that I'm experiencing. Just letting myself know that everything that I'm feeling is valid, it's normal. And then just thinking back on everything that I've overcame so far in my life, giving myself the reassurance that I will get through this too. Because this isn't the first time that I've ever been through something like this. So I know if I've gone through that and overcame that, then I can surely go through this and overcome this. So it's just the mentality and mindset that you come into each situation with, that would determine exactly how you would get through this thing. But the key that I want you guys to realize is you can get through it, but it's how you get through it is what matters. Are you gonna suppress it or are you gonna acknowledge it? The choice is up to you. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learn something that you can take with you throughout the rest of your days and your life on this journey that we're all on. And let's just continue to try to get better each and every day as individuals. And let's just try to motivate and uplift each other the best that we can, because everybody out here is going through something. But the key is how you deal with it. Are you gonna suppress it or are you gonna acknowledge it and go through it and get through it? That's the key. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And as always, I love you guys so much. I pray that this helps anybody who comes across this video on this platform. I love you guys so much. Thank you. Spiritual Prodigy out.